This is What She Said, and boy, what she says. What she says. I'm Sharon Caddy with Christine Bentley. What she says, Valerie Gibson says all kinds of good stuff. That's why she's here joining us in studio. So great to have you here today.
It's great to be here, thank you.
And it's so appropriate that you're going to be moderating a panel at a conference on igniting the spark. And you just said a moment ago, is it igniting or reigniting? So how many people need to reignite the spark?
A great deal of people, I was saying great deal of couples, especially when they hit the 50-plus mark. This is the grouping, the demographic that's having the most divorces now. And one of the major reasons for these divorces at the 50 and 60, 35-year marital mark is that there isn't a sexual intimacy, there isn't a bond, and what happens is, generally speaking, they find somebody else at that point. And often it's, I hate to say it, and I don't mean to be sexist, but often the man who says, no, I want sex, but my wife refuses or doesn't want to. Or he bounds home with a little blue bottle of Viagra pills and says, hey, 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 after 20 years we're going to have it on. And she says, no way. And then he says, well, if you don't, then I'm going to find somebody who will. And of course, it's what's known as the Viagra divorce follows. Lawyers will tell you that's what follows, because he says, well, that's it, I'll find somebody who will.
So these women who do not want to have sex and who refuse, are they thinking, do they feel betrayed then when that person leaves?
Absolutely, yes, absolutely, because they feel that the sexual thing wasn't the major part, which it wasn't for quite some time possibly. But I think that the sad thing is that if you ask them why, and well, I'm too old, and that he should get over that. I don't want to do that anymore. It may be bad sex that she's having with him, he's just, it's a habit or whatever. So I love this igniting the spark, because I think it's so important. And women should not believe that you get to a certain point and it just drops off the cliff like a stone, It doesn't. It's in your head to say, well, women shouldn't be sexual, which they should if they want to be sexual. But if it's going to keep your long marriage together, what is so hard in making love with a partner you've been with so long?
But we're talking about habits, and even if you're madly in love with somebody, and I know a few couples who've been together for well over 30 years, and they are madly in love, and I don't ask them about the sex, but they're both glowing, so I'm assuming it's
still
good.
going on.
Yes, usually.
But for couples who do love one another, and they love their children, and they have a great life together, things, I guess, can go stale if you don't pay attention.
Yes, I think that is the problem. It does become a habit, and it's not just the 50s and 60s. It's the young people as well, the young couples. There's so many other priorities. This, job, career climb, the house, mortgages, kids, there's a million things, and right at the very bottom often comes on their list of priorities, sex. And I'm too tired, and they get at the end of the day, they're exhausted, and they just don't want to do anything together because they're just exhausted. But the point is that sex, to my mind, is the glue that bonds people together. And that is, you must try and sort of at least make date nights, time for each other, time for sex, time for loving, time for intimacy and bonding. These are so, so important.
Well, and as Christine said, it can become a habit. And as you've mentioned, I've known going back into 40s and 30s, and the kids take all of your energy out of you. You're absolutely exhausted. And I know people that say, there's just no time for sex, and I don't even miss it. The trouble is, they're not fast forwarding 20 years when those children are no longer at home and it's just you and your partner. And isn't it a shame that you've gotten into a habit of being buddies? Well, I'll tell you what, your husband has other buddies.
Yes, and it's not necessary nowadays, as I'm sure everybody's aware, it's not just men that have affairs. It is 50-50 now. It didn't used to be that way, but it is. So, the woman may want some excitement in her life, or somebody to desire her. I always say to men, have you told your wife how you desire her, how you love her, hugged her, kissed her, being sort of close to her in a way that you haven't been for a while, despite all the kids running around. well, no, and so these are important things too. It's not just sex,
No.
getting into bed and having sex.
But that goes both ways. I mean, a woman
Yeah.
has to make her man feel
Yes.
desirable and sexy.
That was my next
Yeah.
point, was that many women feel that they shouldn't initiate sexual contact or any contact of that nature because, if I hug him, he'll want it. I've heard this. What a shame. So, it's women have to get over this idea that they won't be sexual later in life, and also that they shouldn't initiate sex. I've always initiated it if I wanted it. I think it's great.
Let me ask you about self-confidence. I would imagine that older women feel, their bodies aren't what they used to be, and they're looking at all these young girls and who they're competing with, because we see
Not
age gaps.
necessarily,
Not necessarily, but
Mhm.
and maybe they're feeling not very sexy because they're not feeling attractive. So it's a lack of confidence, maybe, would this be one of the reasons why some women are backing off, because they feel that their husband or their partner may look at them and go, wow, there's 20 pounds I never saw before?
Yeah, but we've got to remember, Christina, he also has 20 pounds on, and he's lost his hair, and he may have a bare belly, and all these things. Come on. The women, yes, are indoctrinated again by media, by everything, to believe that the only desirable thing on earth is an 18-year-old, with a 21-inch waist. It is rubbish. I have met the most sexual and sexy and attractive women in their 70s and 80s. It all depends. It's attitude. If you are upset with your body, work on it. Exercise, diet, like the doctor says. Do all the things that make you feel good. When you feel good and healthy, you will feel sexy and sensual. And it's also, the fact that, come on, husbands too, say how gorgeous she's looking, or how you desire her, how you think she's wonderful. It's not a question of, since she's got to put on a bit of weight, I'll look for someone else. A marriage is worth working for and with.
So if you've let your marriage go for 10, 15 years, you haven't really, you haven't had much sex, it's not been very sensual, can you just, let's say somebody out there who's listening to you right now, Valerie, and thinking, maybe, is there hope? Can they turn it around?
Yes, they can. It is hard work, because what you're doing is rebuilding something. It's possibly gone and crumbled, but you have to work at it, but it takes two. Unfortunately, people say, well, can I build the spark? Yes, but you have to get your partner involved. It has to be the two of you work at it. You both have to want to make this relationship work and last, and that will take time, that will take effort, it will take going away for a weekend, it'll take changing your lifestyle. That's the toughest thing, because you do have to give time to each other and time to enjoy each other and get away from all the things that are slowing you down and making you exhausted.
So what would be the first step? A conversation, or trotting into the bedroom with a garter belt on?
You could try that, and it works.
I don't know if I want him to do that.
Yeah, that's true. I know. How about the old 1950s coming to the front door in saran wrap? No, not necessarily, but I think it's sort of subtle. Start subtly, and start over a nice intimate supper at home, and get the kids looked after by the grandparents. Work at it and think up ways. What did you used to do when you were a couple and couldn't keep your hands off each other? Think again and see. Go out in the car and have it in the back seat. Whatever turns you on. And you have to find what it is again. So,
Valerie, it occurs to me that the people who are going to buy tickets and come to this conference, how risque is this going to get? I mean, I'm just giving you guys a taste out there of what's going to be going on. But yeah, with you,
in her eyes.
Yes. Because you did mention that
honest.
You did moderate another panel where they were absolutely gobsmacked.
Yes, I think so. But they were all doctors, and I hope these doctors will tolerate my honesty. I am honest. I do say it how it is, and I do love sex. I love men. I love the whole world of life and aging. So, I'm a very that type of person. But I won't be sleazy or rude or anything like that. But I'm hoping the women that come to this Joy of Aging will go away with some ideas on how to make their life more sexy or sensual, or themselves, or, just enjoy the fun and the talk. It's meant to be fun as well. It's not all, medical situations. It's fun, there's booths, there's all sorts of things, and the promoters want it to be enjoyable, a lovely, enjoyable morning on a Sunday.
And to open the door and make us all realize that it doesn't matter how old you are, which is
No.
exactly what you said in the opening. It doesn't matter how old you are.
Not at all. I'm
Sex is
of
there
a
for
certain
the
age,
taking.
and it's not dying in my patch.
Well, the Joy of Aging 2014 is coming up on November 9th, and there's still time to get your tickets. It's happening at Bellevue Manor. That's in Vaughan. And the website, easy to remember, The Joy of Aging. Don't forget thejoyofaging.ca. And Valerie's all fired up and ready for that conference.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Thank you so much for joining us.
My
and
pleasure.
I will see you in a few short weeks again.
Yes, indeed. Yes.
And
You're the MC, so
I'm
that's
the MC,
great.
and you're the moderator of the panel, and I'm a little afraid.
Well,
I'm a little
fasten
afraid
your
of that
seatbelt.
one. I'm gonna have lots of coffee before I go to that one.
I hope they have mimosas.
Yeah, thank you so much, Valerie. And coming up next, a cosmetic surgeon who's giving back to women who have undergone radiation therapy for breast cancer. Dr. Sean Rice will explain exactly what he is going to do after this short break on What She Said, Canada Talks, Sirius XM.